I think it's a case of just sit back and watch in amazement. Take a bow, Ruturaj Gaikwad. It's been an innings for the ages. It started out in typical Gaikwad fashion, got to a half century, well, he took his time about it. The second 50 was simply insane. There was no question of fatigue. It was just getting better with every delivery. 101 not out of 60 deliveries. The score is almost insignificant right now because it was just such an individual effort. 189 for 4. Ravindra Jadeja was in scintillating form towards the end. He hogged 2 out of 19 deliveries at the end of the innings. Still, Ruturaj Gaikwad managed to hit a 6 of the last ball to get from 95 to 101. What a player, what a man. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle, to salute a champion. I'm in the company of Joy Bhattacharjya and Shaun Pollock. It's been breathtaking stuff, Joy. I mean, running out of superlatives for this man.
As I said, I couldn't get myself on mute because I just didn't know what to say in the beginning. But to be honest with you, I think what an amazing performance. And, this is a time where somebody like Jadeja has been a stalwart for Chennai and you love his batting. You're turning around and said, take a single, give him the strike. This kid deserves to get a century. And Jadeja was just playing the game as it was. He was playing the ball on its merits. He was not bothered, as a professional will be, whether the other guy is getting the century or not. This guy got his chance with 2 balls to go. No run on the second last ball. He needs a 6 of the last ball. Unbelievable finish, coolness, and the way he hit it, it wasn't a small 6, it was a massive 6. It has to be the signal performance of the tournament so far.
Well, he does happen to have the second largest 6. Slightly larger build gentleman by the name of Kieron Pollard holds the largest 6. Second largest after that is Ruturaj Gaikwad. So, Shaun Pollock, I think that says a lot about the man, apart from the innings today.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed. I've been impressed by him since the outset. Last season, I thought he was great. His 88 he got earlier in the tournament was brilliant. And there's just so much to like about him, even from a coaching perspective. You just got to love his attitude to things. The technique is fantastic. He gets into such strong positions. He doesn't try to overhit it. Most of the shots he plays are relatively risk-free. He's not a high-end risk play. He's not getting down and playing the laps or the reverse sweeps. And he's getting 100 of 60 balls. But I think the thing you got to like the most about him is just the attitude in and around it. Coming back for 2s in this 18th over, sprinting back to get Jadeja back on strike. Just that team sort of ethos that he seems to have in his head just makes it fantastic. So I think he's a real finder. I mean, I'm really going to look forward to following his career going forward because I think he's a guy who can not only make a big contribution in the T20 format, I think down the line, he's going to have a big part to play in Indian cricket. I suppose the only thing is that in the IPL, you invariably so many good players at the top of the order. We've just got to find a way of seeing where we can get some guys to develop their skills in the middle order. But in saying that, I think Jadeja is playing superbly at the moment. And in the form he is in, once they get to those knockout stages where there's no messing around and no trying to get people back into form, I think once the platform's set, he's the man you got to turn to. Get him in sooner rather than later because of the way he's playing as well.
Yeah, despite the frustration, I know it was a team game. Jadeja was playing the team game. He was basically, you need to maximize every ball. If it so happens that the guy at the other end gets denied it, so be it. He got a couple of balls, hit it for 6. Quick bit of trivia, as you expect from someone who just got to 100. 9th in this tournament for the Chennai franchise. Youngest, of course, for the Chennai franchise, the age of 24 years, 244 days. The 7th in the tournament against Rajasthan, and the 3rd in this particular combination, Chennai versus Rajasthan, after Murli Vijay in 2010 and Shane Watson in 2018. But
I just want to add one more little piece of trivia to that, and that's that, in the 2019 auction, there was a fierce bidding war for Ruturaj. Do you know how much he went for? His opening price was 20 lakhs. Chennai bought him for 20 lakhs. He is probably the best bargain as of now in the history of the IPL. They bought another player in 2021 for 9.25 crores who hasn't got a game as yet. And well, that's also one of the facts. I mean, he must be value for money, the most valuable player in the history of the tournament so far.
But let's just add one more bit to it. What often tends to happen if you get to 100 in this format of the game is you've got off to a flyer in the power play, you're sort of 35 of 10 balls, then a little bit of an adjustment, and then you finish strong. He looked as if he was playing a good innings, but not the absolute Ruturaj Gaikwad innings, especially after Faf du Plessis left. So the first half of the innings, as you can have a look at, 50 or 43 balls, which is good, but it's not brilliant. 116, you'd have to say, come on, Ritu, let's step it up because we need more runs on the board. Second half, 51 of 17, 3 fours, 5 sixes, strike rate 300. What a genius, Joy.
Absolutely. An amazing player. And I think what Shaun has been talking about, he's already shown us those inside outs. The two things that people are talking about, one is how well he holds his shape after he finishes the shot. It's classical. He just goes out there and he holds it, he's timed it just perfectly. But what he did give us this time also was a lot of shots on the leg side, the traditional slogging areas. He showed he could hit it on the leg side as well. He just doesn't go over off and over covers and over mid off. He can hit it across in the V, he can hit it over off, and he can hit it over leg. I mean, that variety is there. And of course, he's not a great believer. He doesn't do too much lapping and sitting down and hitting those reverses. But would you need to do that if you're getting runs at the rate that he is, just by playing conventional strokes? I thought he was fantastic.
Just one more bit. We've talked about technique. We've talked about temperament. One more aspect, Shaun Pollock. How about the fitness? Yes, he hit some sixes in that second half, but whenever Jadeja was making him run, he was running those twos without protesting.
Yeah, it's really great. And, it's hard to try and gauge temperature-wise. We hear the commentators talking about how they have to change their shirts and how hot it is outside there. And I mean, even from a perspective of one of the bowlers going down with cramp, that just shows you he just had to bowl the 4 overs. Gaikwad was out there for the whole innings. Not only that, he cleared the power. Sometimes you see guys, they get cramp in their arms and are unable to hit the big shots and hit the boundaries. And he just looks to be extremely fit. So, all good signs. And I was so happy for him. When it was limited to maybe not getting a shot at trying to get that 100, and then eventually, and the style to fly that far. One thing I would say about the further sixes, I think most of them are going to be registered at Abu Dhabi, because at the other grounds, the grandstands get in the way. So it hits them first. You never know how far it's going to carry. Those ones, it goes onto the bank, so you can almost see it land.
Fair point. But let's talk about the man at the other end, who we were maybe a little upset with at one point in time. But there is one point in the innings that he simply owns, and that is Ravindra Jadeja owns the 20th over. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it again today. And this is his stats in the 20th over in this tournament in 2021. He's faced 19 balls in the last over of the innings, scored 64 runs with 3 fours and 7 sixes at a strike rate of 336.84. Take that in, folks, one more time. This is only in the 20th over of innings. That's how you can define a finisher. Joy?
That's an incredible stat. That's an absolutely incredible stat. You're just under 4 in innings, over 3 in innings. That is an incredible stat. That's the kind of stat that Dhoni used to own maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I think Jadeja has just taken over that spot, and maybe that's why they're not missing, though Dhoni got a 6 in the last ball last time, they're not missing him as much in that capacity, because I think Jadeja is, and it's hard to say this when the guy's in his mid-30s, he's 32, 33 years old. I think he's an even more explosive batsman than he was 2-3 years ago. I think he's matured, and I think because of the fact that Raina is not giving them that much, he's batting earlier, he's getting more opportunities. I think Jadeja is playing the best. As a batsman, he's playing the best cricket I have him play in his career, seen him play in his career.
Yeah, Gautam, I think the problem is you're only giving us that stat now. If you'd given us before the start of the show, we might have suggested that you use him as one of your picks in the fantasy games, if you'd given us that stat.
Well, he wasn't a pick in terms of a My 11 Circle smart pick, only because I would assume everyone pretty much has him in their team in this particular setup. That's the reason we didn't put him in. But who you make as captain, that is your own prerogative. And I'd just like to say, I had him as captain in my team.
Okay.
Let's just leave it at that, shall we? Let's leave
A
it
form
at
of
that.
boast, a form of boasting.
I know.
Look, he's done his humble brag. First, he's got two. He's got a fantastic stat on Jadeja, which I thought was a superb stat.
That wasn't mine.
But
That wasn't mine. That came from the team.
Yeah, that came from the team, and I loved your Glenn Phillips. You were the one person who would have suggested today that Glenn Phillips would bowl. You got that spot on.
Well, that came from my time at the CPL, having seen Glenn Phillips up close and knowing how much he loves to bowl. But before we finish, a quick one about the opposition. I know it's been the Ruturaj Gaikwad show, but somebody else who turned up, Shaun, was Rahul Tewatia finally. I mean, I know it's going to get forgotten when somebody scored 100, the opposition scored 189, but 3 for 39, he was really the one bowler. If he had a little bit more support, it could have been a different story.
Yeah, it was. I think it was just the one over where he went for the 2 sixes. I think that really damaged the economy rate, but it was good. He bowled with good control. It was a good spot to see Moeen Ali come in early and to fire it wide, and he got the initial breakthrough. And yeah, so he did a good job. And obviously his match isn't over. They'll be hoping that he contributes with the bat. But I think Rajasthan got a big challenge ahead of them. You know, guys who haven't played, haven't come to the crease. Sure, it's not easy just to walk in and be able to go at a rate of knots and be able to knock a quality bowling lineup around like Gaikwad did today. So it's going to be a massive ask for them.
Yeah, we've already been talking about it being a tournament of 130s and 140s and 150s. Now here you are asking a team who are desperate for points to get 190 against a team who are already on top of the tree, and that too they're doing it with 5 changes to their side. Yes, Tewatia was one of the changes who bowled, but you're going to have Glenn Phillips coming in, you're going to have David Miller coming in, and of course, the other changes were down the order in terms of Akash Singh and Mayank Markande. So it's going to be a big, big challenge for them, Joy. But at least with 190, you know that you don't have any second thought in your mind.
Exactly. There's no doubt in anyone's head about what's happening. You've got to go and hit from ball 1. It's not a tactical chase at all. And I think in some ways, somebody like an Evan Lewis, it suits his kind of temperament. He doesn't need to think about anything. Go and whack the ball. Glenn Phillips, I think the odds are against them getting it. But I really hope that they really go for it. They're not timid about it.
Well, they probably have no option. They'd probably need to get, say, something like a 60 plus. And then that's going to be my prediction for the second half. 60 in the power play. But maybe they need to get even more. Shaun Pollock, you almost had it with a score prediction. You went high. We were wondering, really, Shaun? But thanks to Jadeja and Ruturaj Gaikwad, they overtook you.
Yeah, so okay, next 6, I'm going to go 45.
45.
Okay.
So you're trusting the Chennai bowlers to keep them down. 60, 45, Joy?
53.
53, beautifully slotted, nice half volley in the middle, through the covers. Joy takes the bait. Well done. But certainly, if the men in pink have to have any shot at it, it's going to have to be a big, big power play. Cricbuzz Combox will be on in the 10th over. And by then, they certainly will need to be some way to this total. Otherwise, it's going to be Chennai. Not possibly. I think mathematically, if they win today, that Q1/Q2 will be guaranteed for them. And then they can put their feet up for a few days. That's all we have on this show. Once again, it's a big salute to Ruturaj Gaikwad. It's a talent that India has unearthed. We always knew it. He just now showed that he can take it that extra step. We'll see you soon on Cricbuzz Live, brought to you in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.